You're listening to the Wealthy Lawyer Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Klein, and the founder of the Wealthy Lawyer Squad, a community specifically curated for law students and lawyers who are ready for more success, wealth, personal growth and wellness, and ease in their legal career. With the tools and strategies I teach in the squad and that I've implemented in my own career successfully, I want you to get ready to approach your legal career in a whole new way and live a life you never imagined. I'm a former big law attorney, entrepreneur, law firm owner, and success coach for law students and new lawyers, and I am here to support and inspire you on your journey in the law every step of the way. Let's go, squad. Welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Lawyer Squad podcast. I am thrilled to be sitting here with my friend, Casita Simpson. We have some goodness that we're going to go over today. Not only will you love Casita, as I have come to love her, but we're going to talk about a lot of things that lawyers can do to really make sure that they are being efficient and effective and harnessing technology, which is, in my opinion, a big part of becoming a wealthy lawyer. Because I don't know about everyone out there, but I wanted to make sure, especially as I started my own firm, that I wasn't just handing myself a new job that I could never get out of the rat race.
Yeah.
And that is when Casita came into our lives, Kristen and I's lives, and we fell in love and we were very, very happy. So I'll do a quick bio and then we'll just start chatting because our conversations are always gold and have to be memorialized.
Definitely.
So Casita Simpson is the legal CRM consultant, legal solutions partner, owner, and CEO of Simpson and Associates, which you've had now for 7 years. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
You're killing it.
Yeah.
You're killing it. You have a few degrees, including a bachelor's in English from FIU. You have major roots in law firms and as a paralegal. And now that you're an entrepreneur, you help small to mid-size law firms and other firms too, or just law firms?
It depends on who is asking.
Only for the cool people. Got it. Navigate legal complexities and scale processes. Casita is passionate about supporting community. I love that. Combat food insecurity and charities. So I love that. And I love you. I mean, seriously, as soon as we met, I just knew that we were going to connect not only on a personal level, but on a business level. Yeah. And Kristen and I hired Casita, like 2 months ago now?
Yeah, time has really flown by.
I know. And I think our first call lasted like
3 hours.
3 hours. So literally we start the call, we're chatting, we're talking about our vision for Flourish Law Group and everything that we want to accomplish. And then Casita's talking about everything that
involves systems.
And we were just like, oh my God. And then I had to hop off for a client call.
Yes.
Kristen stayed on and I texted her. I'm like, how did it go with Casita?
We're still in it.
She's like, we're still in the meeting. Come back. I'm like, okay, shit. All right. I'm coming back in.
Yeah. That was such a great time. And I think that in terms of like meetings in themselves, I've never had a meeting that long. Not one with someone that had just met. Like we had great chemistry.
I know.
And I think that more than anything, I would have probably been sad if we didn't get to work together because it was such a highlight of my day. Like
Same.
It made my whole damn day, girl.
Oh
like God. Just meeting with the both of you. And
likewise.
It's been like that since. I mean, if you didn't want me on the podcast, that would have been fine, but I would have found any reason to stalk you. Truth be told.
Likewise.
I'm glad we were able to hit it off.
I know. Me too. So I want to take it back. What does your career trajectory look like? And how did you come up with the idea for Simpson and Associates?
You know, I'll be honest. I didn't necessarily know that I was going to start this business, really. And I started and stopped. So I started with the business in 2017. And at that point, I was in the highlight of working with a really great corporate company. And I worked in their legal department and I had helped them to do so many things. And not to say that it was boring, but in doing that, I said, I really miss just working with law firms. And this is great, but I still want to help law firms. And I started to just do a little bit of things on Upwork and Fiverr and just get myself out there. I registered the business because it just seemed like the right thing to do. And I got so busy helping this corporate company that I couldn't give it my time. And I was always wondering, like, why didn't it actually work? I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. And I didn't realize it until, honestly, restarting it up again. And so to take you through that, I've been in the legal industry since 2006.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
2006.
Were you like 5 years old? Like, how's that possible? I don't know. That's possible.
Right out of high school. I've always known that I wanted to be an attorney, truth be told.
Wow.
And from really just seeing different things, I said, this is something that I want to do. And so in high school, right as I graduated, the first job that I got was at a law firm.
Wow.
And my position at that time was a runner. That doesn't even exist anymore. But I started out working as a runner, and then they slowly and quickly promoted, I say slowly, but it was really quickly. They promoted me within like 3 or 4 months to being the receptionist. And I did that for a while, and then I moved and I did a couple of different things. And so I had some various experiences working with law firms and non-law firms. I worked at Apple for a while. I basically did a whole bunch of different things. And then by 2015, 2016, I said, no, I want to give working with the legal industry my all. And truth be told, I had maybe like the 4 years that I worked at Apple where I wasn't really doing that full time, but part time, I worked at a law firm. It was the craziest thing. I couldn't give it up. So I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything else. This is all I'm going to do. Got my paralegal certificate. Started working at Crystal Cruises, and I loved it. Loved the cruising industry. Then ended up working at European Wax Center in their legal department.
Oh, wow.
Then
shout out to European Wax Center.
I know, right?
I see them once a month.
When I told people that I got that job, they're like, what are you going to do there, wax? And I was like, no, silly.
It's a business.
It's a business. I work in the legal department. Duh. But so I left there and I went to Virgin Voyages, and that's where like I hung my hat up. So while I was at Crystal, I started the business 2017, couldn't keep it up. So I let it go. And by, I want to say, really 2020, COVID happened. And when COVID happened, I kind of had noticed that I was going to be furloughed from working at Virgin. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. Yeah. And so they had reduced me to part-time, and I still just worked for them because honestly, I thought it would be all right. I thought part-time would be it. It wouldn't ever be where I would be furloughed. But then I was furloughed. And when that happened, full transparency, I had maybe about $500 in my bank account, and I was like, I'm starting this business again. Still had the EIN. And still had like everything that I kind of much set up. So I just re-registered the business, attached the EIN to it, told the IRS what I had going on, and then now the rest is history. I started out just really doing paralegal support, and coupled with the background of working in corporate, the experience of helping really get shit in order and get people organized, because I did it for a whole legal department twice. Yeah. So doing that, having resources, having things at my disposal very easily to get them organized, then working for myself and doing paralegal services, I rolled that in. It was all a part of it. And I didn't realize or understand why law firms didn't have that structure, why they didn't have the systems in place, why they didn't have a case management system, why they didn't have structure, a centralized database to where they kept things. And it didn't make sense to me. So I said, well, if I did this working in corporate America as a paralegal, then fine. That's what paralegals do. We're going to do it now. Sorry. We're going to do it now.
I do that all the time.
Because, my hands. We're going to do it now for these law firms that are small, that are solo, that are mid-sized, that really don't have things in order. So the first firm that contracted me, that was the first thing that I said. I asked him, all right, so where do I go to find everything? How do I help you? He said, find what? I said, the work that you want me to do. Like, where is it? In my head. Okay, we're going to change that. And I kept on doing that under the paralegal services, not realizing that that's where my zone of genius really was in processes and
that's
structure.
Really where it is. I can attest.
Right.
I can attest.
And I love technology. And that was the other thing I couldn't realize. Why in the hell do law firms and the legal industry not have more love for technology? Why are the two so separate? Until more recent years, you see it now coming. It's like basically
slowly but surely.
It's a marriage. It's becoming a beautiful, harmonious marriage, which is what I wanted for the legal industry. I mean, even when I worked at Apple, when attorneys would come in, I was telling them all the things that they needed to do when they were trying to buy a Mac and why a Mac would work so much better for their practice than a PC. So I was always doing this thing and not even realizing that I was doing this thing, which is kind of crazy.
You want to know something also crazy? So I've now practiced law for 12 years or so. started at a Big Four accounting firm, worked at a couple small law firms, and then one of the biggest law firms in the country. And at every stage of that journey before partnering with Kristen and starting our own thing, I just kept thinking, we're making this harder than it needs to be. And it wasn't just at the big firm, and it wasn't just at the small firm. I could just see like the duplication of efforts and the inability to delegate and the just all these inefficiencies. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to start my own firm, because I'm like, well, I could try to build something at one of these firms. But you know how it is, the resistance of technology and automation and systems. And there isn't time, which it's hard. It's hard to find the time. But it's one of the reasons I wanted to start a law firm. And so I feel like I manifested you, because seriously, when we started talking about what you did, I was like, this is a part of the vision and how we're going to get there, because I don't know how to do that.
Right.
Lawyers don't learn how to do that in law school. Right. I'm tech savvy, but I'm not like super tech savvy. And when we started talking, and I think it's one of the reasons we had the 3.5 hour, it was really long. I was like, yes, this is what I have been looking for. And this is what we need to be able to grow and to be able to be a boutique law firm that we can take vacations and I can go spend time with my kids and we can build out a team that we can empower to do their roles so we can win. So I don't know. It's so crazy to sit here and like talk about it with you, because I'm like, I needed you. I didn't know you and I didn't know exactly what I needed. But when it all came together, it's just like amazing. Seriously.
Agreed.
Seriously.
I had one client legit be able to take weeks at a time off. Weeks at a time. His business was still running. People would have thought that he had like 5 attorneys and maybe 10 support staff people working for him, because how efficiently everything was running. And it's all because I took the role of being the leader. It's his business. No one's taking that from him. But I took the pride in saying, all right, we're going to change this. This can't be a firm that I'm a part of. I'm sorry, but I need you to kind of move out of the way and allow me to do things. Of course, you'll approve it. I would never do anything without your final say so. You will always have the final approval. And if you don't like it, we won't do it. And you could probably even attest to that. Like, I don't actually put something final into production until I know it's been approved by the people who are going to use it the most. But at the same time, like, there has to be some structure. And once he realized what we did, he was so happy, because it was a big difference from being in the business 24/7 and being able to be back, take a bird's eye view and just see what exactly is going on in his business and not have to be in it every day and just approve things and be out making money, networking with people, bringing in new clients, consulting with the clients, really thinking about the hard things that require an attorney's mind. His zone of genius, he was able to focus on, because we took care of everything else.
That's so good. You know, I first heard about the zone of genius concept probably a couple of years ago. I forget which book I know there's a book that talks about like your zone of genius. And then there's the one that's below that, where it's something you're really good at, but you're never going to feel like you're in a flow state when you're doing it. And I forget what that zone was called, but I remember thinking so much of what I'm doing is in that slightly inferior state and I'm not fully in my zone of genius. Like I always knew I love practicing. I don't ever anticipate stopping actually practicing law. I have some lawyer friends who they just want to be the CEO, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I do like the actual practice, but I also like networking and bringing in business and building something. Like I love a new idea and bringing it to life. Like it's so much fun. And I knew if in the roles that I was in, I would not get to exercise that muscle enough. The other thing is just hearing about a lawyer who's able to take a few weeks vacation. I've worked with many different attorneys over the years. My examples were partners don't take vacations. It's not allowed. You know, I think at one firm, the partner he would go away, but then he would work 4 hours a day. And he would tell me this. And I'm like, well, then that's not really a vacation. Like, how can you be mentally healthy and physically healthy if you're and spend time with your family if you're working? He's like, well, I'll just wake up really early. I'm like, but you need a break.
Definitely.
You need a break. Or then, the flip side would be I'd watch partners take a vacation, but then like the weeks leading up to the vacation, they were like stressing themselves out to the point where they would go on vacation and they would instantly get sick.
Yeah.
Because they were so burnt out.
Yes.
And I remember watching all this and being like, is this how it has to be?
There has to be a better way.
There has to be a better way. And, you know, even 10 years ago, there wasn't the same technology that there is now. And now, I mean, when you go through with us and we're figuring out how this is all going to work, I'm just like blown away.
Yeah.
Blown away.
Yeah.
So what have you seen? I mean, you've worked with so many lawyers, so many law firms. Like, what has been some of the most common objections or things that have been, obviously, like you kind of already hinted at it, like someone saying like, I don't know how this is going to work and not feeling able to like hand over the reins to a certain extent. What other like things have you seen in the law? Because I just think it's so interesting to get the perspective of someone who's coming in and trying to put all the pieces together.
Yeah, I think that it's a couple of things. One for sure, technology. For the folks that are not comfortable with technology, it's almost like they don't want to be bothered with it at all. And it's interesting when they come to me because they're like, you know, my colleague mentioned that I should do this thing. I don't really think it's all that great. I don't really know if I should even do it. And then we start having a conversation and I just start asking certain questions and I really get into their mindset of what and why they're even contacting me. And once we really get to the heart of it and I realize that it's technology, I allow them to be in the driver's seat. So I'll probably share my screen and show something and then I'll give them remote control access and I'm like, okay, you should try to do this and try to do that. Or maybe it's their own thing. And if it's their own system that they already have and they're demoing it, I'll say, okay, I bet I'll show you a cool feature that you didn't know. And once I show them, it's a complete different interaction. That small thing makes such a huge difference. The other thing is maybe they were using something like an Excel sheet and Word, and maybe they have, you know, a database that they use to basically manage their files and their cases. And now they're going to be moving into something that does it all in one place. That's scary to them. And it's like, okay, but will it have all the things that I need? Will it work the way that I need it to? And giving them peace of mind with that. Sometimes it's budget. Sometimes they think that they can't afford to even have a case management system that does all the things. They think that it's expensive. And it's unfortunate because, you know, you do have some of those expensive products out there. And unfortunately, they're the ones that are getting the most ad time. So the consumer and the business owner assumes that that's all that's out there until they meet with me. And they realize it's not just, I'm going to name drop, it's not just the Clios of the world. It's not just, you know, the Rocket Matter, or maybe they're using something like a, that's another really big one that people often always use aside from Clio. That's escaping me right now. But those are not the only programs that are out there. There are a billion other ones. And depending on what you want, you can find something within your budget. And once I allow them to see that, it's usually a much greater experience because not only does it empower them to really think about what they want, but it encourages them to go and look what else is out there. Because I encourage them to do that. I challenge them to say, now go ahead and go see what else is out there. And also see what other consultants are out there. Because maybe you may like me, but maybe you may like someone better.
Right.
Or maybe you may like the program that I'm talking about, but maybe you may find something that's better. But now you have an action plan of what things are that you want to focus on and what your system should have. So now you're empowered to go out into the world and do those things. Yeah. The last thing I would say is risk. And people are often afraid of like being able to move their stuff and how that's going to mess with the integrity of the data. And is there any risk associated with it? Well, could they potentially be hacked and all of those things? And it's more educating them in the safe ways to be able to do data migrations and giving them that peace of mind and knowing that they have a dedicated person like myself who will essentially be the liaison between the old and the new system. And I take that burden off of them in having to spend that time confirming that the data is going to be ported over properly because I'm assuming that role for them. So it also brings peace of mind. Sometimes when people don't know something, it often creates this fear and anxiety of like, well, maybe I can't do it or maybe it's not possible. But once you start to really get help, you realize that anything's really possible, especially where technology is concerned. And I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, technology is like amazing and it doesn't have any shortcomings. Like humans, there are times where things don't work right. The other day I was in a Zoom and my whole computer froze. So things will happen, but at the same time, like, don't let that deter you from taking the steps to really give yourself back that time. You owe it to yourself to give yourself back that time.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't go into practice to deal with the administrative stuff, to deal with the billing, to deal with all the things. And when you start, you have to, and I recognize that. But once you get into a position where you're really so heavy with managing your caseload and managing the business, it's like, okay, it's time to bring in some kind of support and being comfortable with that. So it's a variety of things, but usually I'm able to, if I've met this person or if I've talked to this person at any point, to kind of guide them into, even if it's not with me, being comfortable with educating themselves with what resources are available to them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, from personal experience of working with you now for a few months, like, just seeing everything that you're able to help us do and the amount of time that we're going to save and the amount of things that we'll be able to move off of our plate and that we will be able to, as we grow our team, because we are growing, that we'll be able to do that in a way that has a good flow to it and is efficient, because I want to make sure that, I mean, Kristen and I's goal is to well exceed what we made at our prior roles. And I made a lot of money at my prior role. Like, I have very high hopes for myself financially, and I'm seeing it all, come to pass. But if I stay small and do everything myself, that will never happen. Right. And I will probably burn myself out and I probably will not enjoy it, because if I can't focus on the things that are my zone of genius, at least most of the time, then one, I'm going to do a disservice, because what we offer, estate planning, is something that benefits the community, benefits the people around us. So if we're not able to help people because we are too backlogged, then we are not able to serve in the way that we want to. And I think, honestly, if I was not able to figure out a way to make this more efficient, I don't know if I could practice law forever, because I think eventually I would get burnt out. Truly.
Not
I
only
really
that,
do.
But you'll probably have resentment towards your business too, because that's a thing as well. It's like, I don't want to just keep doing these things because they don't even make you happy. It creates this ball of like anxiety and angst where you're just like, enough already. Like, I see it all the time. I see it when people reach out to me. Sometimes I see it before they even reach out. Like, if I'm just in a room and I'm networking, you kind of hear different conversations being had and the passion about whatever is going on. Some good, some bad. And it's just like, there's always a solution. There's always another way. And I live inside of the out of box thinking. Like, I live there because I don't want to just give the same solutions to everyone, because it doesn't always work the same way for everybody.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons we connected so much, because I also like to think outside of the box and try to be creative and try to think of different ways that something can be accomplished. So I think that's probably like one of the main reasons we connected so much. And I think it's funny, kind of going back to like the objection of cost. And I get it. I run a startup with Kristen and it can get expensive and there can be a lot of startup costs. And even though we keep our overhead low, like, we still have to pay ourselves. And I have a child in preschool, and we still have all the bills that we had before. But you also have to take a step back and think of it from an abundance mindset of, okay, if I do this, I will be able to free up time so that I can do the things that actually make the firm money, that bring in the clients, that are the hourly billing, whatever it might be, whatever your law firm structure is. And if you kind of shift that perception and that perspective, like when you think about it that way, sometimes you got to spend a little money to make money. And that's just,
it's just a part of the game. It's really just a part of being a business owner. And what's so funny too, is that sometimes when people come to me with a budget question, even if it's not working with me, maybe it's just about the system and maybe it's automating some things in the system. It's like, okay, so you bill, let's say $4.50 an hour, right? You bill $4.50 an hour. If you're doing work for a client, you're going to see that money right away because you are doing something that's going to allow you to see that money. Or you could be spending 10 hours a day on administrative things. You're literally, sorry to say it this way, pissing away money because you're doing things that doesn't bring in. So instead of making money by working on a client's matter, whatever it is, and bringing in revenue and seeing the dollars convert, you're now throwing it away.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to spend a little money on a system. It doesn't equate. 10 hours a day, $4.50 an hour. That's $4,500.
Especially for a small firm, because when I was at the big firm, I had legal assistants, I had paralegals, I had a document team that if I needed like something in my document changed or fixed, I could have that team do it.
Okay.
I had a lot of resources at my fingertips. I had people who could print things for me. There was a lot of benefits.
Yes.
When I left, I didn't have any of that anymore. I had none of the above. Eventually we got an admin and now we're growing and we have paralegals, but I didn't have any of that at first. And so, yeah, you kind of do have to start somewhere, especially that's how we wanted to be lean. We wanted to be smart. We wanted to grow in a smart, organic way.
Right.
And I think we could have grown. Chris and I were just talking about this the other day. We could have grown faster if we would have just started taking on every client that still aligned with our practice area and we liked.
Yeah.
But we actually grew slower on purpose so that we could build the processes. And then we got to the point where we only could get so far without you.
Yes.
And then we were like, okay, now we need that next step. We need someone to come in who has that, because it's not my zone of genius, who can come in and do that. Because we realize like that is how we will grow. That is how we will become a successful woman-owned law firm, and that we will continue to, continue on, because how many small businesses
don't make it.
Yeah. You know,
but you'll be able to build that wealth. But let's not even forget about the mentality, right? Because mental wellness is also an important thing too. Think about how much less stress you would have when you're not dealing with those things that don't really serve you, that don't really do anything for you. And yes, you could pass it off to an admin, but suppose you're not even in a position to have an admin.
Yep.
Where do you actually start? You start by leveraging the tools that you have that you're already paying for. And that's one of the things that we end up talking about all the time too in these consultations. It's like, okay, well, you're using DocuSign, for example, and shout out to DocuSign for being great, but sometimes you don't need it if your case management system already has an embedded e-signing component to it.
Right.
So now you're throwing away dollars, and that's a part of the conversation that we have. Let's also be mindful of how we're spending the dollars that we do have. Just because you have it doesn't mean that you should be spending it on this expense. It's like duplicative because your system does it and now you're spending another system to do it.
Yeah.
I'm all about wanting to safeguard data and protect data and all of that. That's great. But your system, if you pick a good one, has a client portal that's like safe, that has the ability to make sure that you're collecting information from your team, collecting information from your clients without being exposed to whatever risk there is. But you're not even giving yourself that chance. You're not even taking that into consideration. And it's all about, again, the knowledge. If you don't know, then you don't know. But hopefully by now they'll hear it on your podcast and they'll know. And it'll empower some people who weren't even really thinking about these things to start really saying, okay, what am I currently using? And that's what I challenge everyone to do. What are you currently using and do you need it? Because if we're talking about, again, the cost, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not saying to stop getting your lattes and your coffee, but I'm pretty sure that there's a way that you can bake this in to being a part of your firm, especially if you and I both know that it has the makings of just like really skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Not only from a wealth perspective, from a mental health perspective too, and a time perspective too. We talked about this like earlier on, how much time you end up saving when you just make a couple of little tweaks. Yeah. And the more tweaks you make, the easier it will be for you to be less hands-on in that way. You'll still need to be a part of your business, but just not in that way.
That's one of I wanted to have you on because I'm just obsessed. Kristen and I are obsessed with you, as you well know. But I also wanted to have you on because so much of what I talk about on this podcast is how to become a wealthy lawyer. There are not many lawyers out there who are millionaires. I've talked about this in other episodes. There's a study that showed about 5 to 10% of lawyers are millionaires, which is very low.
That's it?
I mean, I was talking about this at lunch and someone's like, well, student loans. And I'm like, yes, that is a factor. That is a factor. And I don't want to discount that student loans can be very hefty.
Yes.
But I think that is only one. I think it's not even a big factor because you can figure out ways to pay off your loans. Definitely. It might take a long time and maybe it's because they get forgiven, whatever it is. Right. But it's lifestyle inflation. It's keeping up with the Joneses. And I think a big part of it too is just not being mindful of money. I think a lot of attorneys, and I'm guilty of this in the past, just focused on work, building the career, but I'm making this money. What am I doing with that money?
Right.
How am I making sure that money works efficiently for me? How am I making sure that I have multiple streams of income? So if one stream dries up or whatever it might be, or I decide to pivot, those are, I think, some of the really big reasons why that is the case. And so I wanted to have you on because I want people out there to know, whether they're in law school now or they are a new lawyer, they're starting a law firm, or they're helping a firm grow, or they're at a big firm, whatever it is, there are options that can improve your career and the effectiveness of your career and your wealth building techniques.
Definitely.
And I just think it's so important for people to realize this because it's not talked about that often in the law.
No,
it's not. Like, I've worked at multiple firms, like, again, from small to one of the biggest. And there was a huge lack of any of this.
Yeah. I definitely think that it should be talked about even more. And you said something that I want to highlight. Yes, I'm obsessed with case management systems, but it's for a valid reason. You mentioned being able to really maximize where you're spending your money. There's oftentimes firms that spend money in advertising, that spend money on networking, that spend money on all these different things, and they never really get a really good, honestly, way of being able to say, you know what, that's a really good return on my investment. That's a really good return on my investment. That was piss poor. That didn't really do anything for me. I need to get rid of that and phase it out. But the beauty of the system, depending on the one that you have, is you see that right on the we talked about this. You see it right there on the dashboard.
Yep.
You plug in the right information and you're able to see, okay, I am a part of $1 Million Weekly. I'm making something up. And $1 Million Weekly brings me in 5 clients every week. Keep that. Because, okay, bringing in 5 clients every week and 3 of those 5 convert into actual clients. Keep that. Whereas, maybe you have a membership with maybe the Better Business Bureau, for example. Attorneys could do that as an option. I had an attorney that was doing that. But maybe they bring in 15 and maybe none of them pan out. So you see the volume of the 15 every week and you think that that's doing something and you keep it on mistake, thinking that someone's converting from that when no one is actually converting. The same way that I started out, there was a couple of different companies that was constantly reaching out to this one firm. Legal Shield was one of them. All these little companies, I was like, okay, let's partner up and we're going to give our employees an access to your firm. And you have to just give them a small discount. Well, it sounded great in theory, but because I helped him build out that database, we saw that it wasn't really converting the way that he had anticipated that it would. So you stop offering it. But you can't stop offering something if you don't have the education and the numbers, because numbers don't lie.
Right.
If you don't have the numbers to support that, you'll constantly be in this loop of spending money on things that aren't really worth your time. If you're in something like maybe a BNI, for example, and you have one person in BNI who's like amazing at being a referral partner, where every time they refer you someone, it's a warm lead, it converts to a client, that client stays on a long time, amazing. But is anyone else in your BNI doing that? Because maybe this person should just be a referral partner of yours and you treat them nicely. You gift them once a year. You do something. You take them out on a nice dinner or whatever the case is to show that you value all the conversions that they've been giving you.
Yeah.
But maybe the group in itself, not telling anyone to not do that, but for that person or that firm, maybe it doesn't actually make sense.
Yeah. I think it's just being aware and having mechanisms to track what you're doing, how you're converting, your automations, whatever it might be, and just knowing, keeping an eye on the ball because it's so easy to just be busy. I got 80 emails today between like this morning and now. I'm like, what happened? What happened? Like it's so easy to just get very inundated. But if you're not keeping your mind on your money and your mind on the game and on the ball, like you will just be spinning your wheels in so many things.
Definitely.
So many things.
It's easy to do though, Lauren.
Yeah, very.
Super easy.
Very. I do it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, as a business owner myself, like it's very easy to get sucked in and it's just like you get all these different things and it's bright and shiny. You want to talk about loving new things. I'm obsessed with new things.
Yeah.
But just because it's new doesn't mean that I need to now. It's so quick to exhaust all of your expenses that you've accumulated because you want to bring more into your business.
Yeah.
You just sign up for the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And it's okay to do it, but just don't do it forever. Learn from your mistakes.
I definitely had to learn.
Yeah.
I had to learn because Kristen and I always say like, I'm the wow and she's the how. Like I love new things. I love new ideas. I'm like, oh yes, let's do that and that and that. And it's so easy to do. And before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, now our expenses are X. That's really not what we had anticipated. So then going back and saying, okay, what can we trim? What's working? What's not working? But if you're not tracking and you're not really keeping your eye on the ball, it's really hard. It's really hard to do that.
Definitely.
Oh my, I think there's a lot of people out there who are either running law firms or thinking about running law firms that may have a lot of questions. Yeah. So I want to kind of wrap this up because I think that we're ending on like such a great note.
Agreed.
So if someone is interested, number one, who's like your ideal client? And if someone's interested in working with you or just learning more about you and your business, how can they find you?
Yeah. So to answer the first question, my ideal client is going to be anyone that's struggling with getting out of their own way. Maybe they have processes already documented, but they don't know what to do with them. Maybe they just got a system like Logos or maybe Lawmatics or something like that, or maybe even Practice Panther. And they're wondering, I don't know how I move. What do I do? Did I pick the right system? Though all of those things are like things that I love to talk about. Or maybe they're brand new. They just left working big law and now they want to start their own thing and they don't know the first thing to do when it comes to their system or what process to set up or what area to focus on with their processes. I am more than happy to help someone with that. And if you want to find me, you can go to our website, simpson-asssoc.com. You can also call us. Our number is 877-239-0593. We're on socials, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, but I also have a YouTube channel. And I spend a lot of time just educating people on how to set systems up on their own. Because I often understand that sometimes people are not ready or not available to work with me. Some people want to get started, but they just don't have the time. Yeah. So they can go to YouTube, watch a couple of videos, and kind of figure it out on their own. And then when they're ready, they can call me. So the YouTube channel is Cass, C-A-S, Loves Tech. Because I'm obsessed with technology.
Oh, I love that. We'll put all the information in the show notes because I know people are going to be really interested. Like I said, I mean, it has been a big game changer for us. And I know we're just getting started. Like seriously, I think if someone has a vision and they want to make it happen, like if you're like I said, I'm the wow. And so I'm like, ooh, let's do this. And I have all these grand ideas, but you actually have to have a system behind it to make that idea actually come to fruition. So this was so amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I just love hanging out with you. I just feel like I love hanging out with you. And then I love recording conversations with the cool people in my life because I'm like, how often are we like, we should have been recording this?
I know.
Like this was gold.
I feel like that happened the last time we had a meeting. It was like, this should have been documented.
I know.
We should have, there were so many gems.
I know.
I love our sessions though. Like
me too.
I really, really do. Like processes are my jam. So when we had that brainstorming session the other day, I was like, can we do this more? And I know you guys are so busy and I feel so awful for like soaking up all of your time.
No,
but I just love being around you guys. I'm like, can we just do another brainstorming session? Can we just do it over food? Can we just block out a whole half a day and just say we're going to focus on this? Please.
I'm here for it. Don't tempt me with a good time.
Girl.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was absolutely amazing. Love you.
I love you.
Thanks everyone.